We live in a world where news is everywhere, always updating across a multitude of platforms. Scholar Daya Kishan-Thusu highlights that the demand for live 24/7 news can lead to the sensationalization and trivialization of often complex stories and temptation to highlight the entertainment value of news. Over time, trends in news consumption has dramatically changed. The International Digital News Report from 2017 by the Reuters Institute found that millennials are predominantly engaging with news through online sources, and particularly through social media. Further research uncovers that the most dominant digital social media platform for news is Facebook, accounting for 47% of the respondents using this platform for news. These statistics identify that millennials who are aged 22 to 37 years old are the target audience for news organisations to attract in order to gain a higher volume of media attention, therefore tailoring content to that audience to gain likes, shares, and in hopes of the information going viral. Altogether, this leads to my research question. How does Facebook act as a hegemonic facilitator for millennial news consumption? Why does this interaction with news change around the world? And how does it create global awareness for millennials? I conducted a local Vox pop at a shopping centre to examine the reality behind millennial news consumption.
Usually Facebook, and then occasionally television.
Is Facebook.
Probably Snapchat and Facebook. It normally just pops up on my feed, or if my friends have shared a post, I might stop and look at it and read it if it's grabbing enough.
Probably mainly shared posts.
And I do follow quite a few news pages on Facebook, so I know that when they share stuff, it's actually real news, because sometimes you get a little bit of fake news on Facebook. So I follow like Channel 9 and 10 and like Telegraph and stuff like that, so I can get a few legitimate sources.
I probably look at the image first because I find Facebook's going more visual anyway. And then if it has an interesting title, I'm probably more inclined to actually go and read further into it.
Probably passively. I don't go looking up like news for today, but if something like pops up, I get on a little bit of like a rant. Like, so if things pop up, I'll click it and then I can't stop myself and I'll be looking at similar things for the next like hour.
Yes, it does, because then I'm able to talk more with people about issues that are going on in the world, and I'm more informed as well, I think.
Some of it is really focused on like local news or news around Australia, and there's other news outlets that focus around international news, which I think is just why Facebook can, not always, but can be a good news outlet, because there's so many different types of people on Facebook, so it shows you so many different types of news, whether it's in this country or out of this country. So it depends where you're searching for news, if it makes you feel globally aware. But yeah, it does me a little bit, depending where I'm looking. Yeah.
News reported via Facebook is a form of transnational media. Saba Bebawi states that, in general, transnational media refers to cross-border media transmission. This is embodied by Facebook, connecting individuals around the world, forming digital colonization. Daya Thusu adds that the local offering interacts with the national and the local in ways that often produce hybridized local media products, hallmark of a postmodern cultural sensitivity. This reinstates that the news on Facebook is generally dominated by a Western perspective and influenced from popular news sources like CNN, Fox, or ATTN. This control over the flow of information beyond geographical barriers have been rejected by countries around the world. The index collectively identifies countries like Iran, who have removed Facebook access in 2009 in fear of the platform being used to create opposition movement via the website. Other countries who are disconnected from Facebook are China, Cuba, Bangladesh, and North Korea. A ban on Facebook news content is replaced by government-controlled censorship, affecting intellectual isolation. Cultural imperialism is employed in these countries as a form of propaganda to have power over citizens. Paradoxically, Facebook uses the same technique. To conclude, with a global audience, there is only one way to communicate, and that is digitally. News organisations have the right idea, using Facebook as the gatekeeper to tap into the millennial target market. Transnational media serves to extend hegemonic perspectives and power, or enable an increasing number of voices and perspective to gain representation. So not only does Facebook have the capability to communicate infotainment, but millennials themselves are national mobilizers who take part in the interaction, sharing, commenting, and forming of localized opinions on the news from all parts of the world.